Have you ever simmered in the quiet fury of betrayal, like Joan of Arc facing her inquisitors with unyielding fire in her veins, where the velvet whisper of courtly gowns conceals the sharp sting of false accusations, and the floral perfume of a grand ball masks the bitter aftertaste of shattered trust, compelling you to reclaim your identity through one defiant act? May I ask for one final thing? Episode 1 delves into that tempest of retribution and resilience, where the distant chime of crystal glasses echoes like fragile illusions shattering, the cool touch of silk against heated skin foreshadowing a philosophical clash between decorum's facade and vengeance's raw pulse. Released on October 4, 2025, as the audacious premiere of this fall fantasy romance adaptation from Nana Otori's light novel, it ignites the arc of a noblewoman's unbridled rebellion, setting the stage for cycles of confrontation and self-discovery. I personally was struck by its intoxicating blend of elegance and explosiveness, a narrative that draws you into the opulent ballroom, the candlelight flickering on gilded walls like hesitant witnesses, the murmur of scandal swelling around you. Yet it withholds the full catharsis, leaving you to savor the suspense, pondering. What if your final plea unleashes a storm that redefines power? Venture closer, reader. Don't you sense the curiosity coiling like a hidden spring, the need to witness if one woman's grace can mask a warrior's fury? Episode 1 catapults us into a lavish imperial court reminiscent of Versailles gilded intrigues, where Scarlett L. Vendimian, a duke's daughter, faces the abrupt dissolution of her engagement by the arrogant second Prince Kyle, who brands her a villainess amid a swirling ball, echoing the public humiliations in the Scarlet Letter. As the series opener with no prior episodes, it swiftly transitions from poised formality to unbridled confrontation, as Scarlett invokes a singular request that spirals into visceral reckonings with her accusers. Imagine gliding across that marble floor, the orchestra's strings straining like taut nerves, satin skirts rustling as accusations fly, yet glimmers of her concealed prowess hint at deeper vendettas. What forbidden strength does Scarlett wield beneath her icy poise? The episode suspends that secret, pulse-quickening, urging you to behold if a single plea can topple thrones of deceit. Episode 1 propels the narrative with explosive vigor, establishing Scarlett's fall from grace as the catalyst for her revenge saga, highlighted by a whirlwind confrontation that serves as both revelation and cliffhanger, teasing alliances and escalating royal fallout. Key twists revolve around the annulment's orchestration and Scarlett's audacious response, advancing the main story from victimhood to empowerment while mirroring the light novel's emphasis on cyclical beatdowns. Pacing strikes a dynamic balance, elegant in ballroom build-up, frenetic in action, creating dramatic equilibrium that captivates without overwhelm. Fans often puzzle over cloudy aspects like the prince's motivations for the sudden annulment and Scarlett's improbable combat prowess. Why frame her so publicly, and how does a noble lady fight like a seasoned brawler? Drawing from Light Novel Volume 1, the annulment stems from Kyle's affair with Diana, a baron's daughter, using fabricated bullying claims to justify it, a ploy rooted in political maneuvering to align with influential factions. Scarlett's strength derives from her family's secret martial training and a blessing that enhances physicality, clarifying that her Ice Rose moniker hides a fighter's heritage, providing context that her request, "May I ask for one final thing?" is a ritualistic prelude to justified violence, enriching the anime's segment by framing it as thematic irony rather than absurdity. This researched insight elevates the episode from mere spectacle to a deliberate setup for Scarlett's ongoing crusade against corruption. Scarlett emerges as a multifaceted force, her hidden wounds, echoes of suppressed rage from enduring Kyle's cruelty, akin to Medea's vengeful unraveling, motivating a transformation from composed noble to unapologetic avenger, her choices consistent in calculated restraint yet surprising in explosive release. Kyle embodies shallow entitlement, his dialogues transformative in exposing pettiness. Diana reveals manipulative depths, her motivations a blend of ambition and insecurity. Were these evolutions consistent? Profoundly, yet surprising in how Scarlett's growth peels back layers of decorum to reveal a core of unyielding justice, fostering empathy through her internal monologue's quiet fire. The episode raises questions of morality's elasticity. What if true power lies in shattering societal shackles, like Antigone defying Creon's edict for personal honor, where hope defies despair through audacious acts? Themes manifest in Scarlett's struggles. Her final thing questions sacrifice's limits, balancing despair's isolation with retributive hope, echoing existential choices in Sartre's No Exit. These permeate decisions, like her confrontations mirroring historical uprisings against tyranny, pulling you to reflect. Haven't you harbored unspoken fury, teetering between restraint and release's cathartic storm? New lore unveils a hierarchical empire laced with blessings and noble intrigues, enriching the universe with rules of engagement annulments and familial legacies that complicate alliances. Akin to Regency England's social codes, adding depth without without convolution. The script gleams, with witty bite, poetic in its irony. Lines like Scarlett's plea carry the weight of a Shakespearean soliloquy, foreshadowing arcs while resonating like echoes in a hushed gallery. Impactful and cliché-averse, dialogues evoke the sharp retorts of Elizabeth Bennet in Pride and Prejudice. As if you're concealed behind a pillar, words laced with venom. Doesn't their edge ignite a suspense that beckons you nearer? Animation from Leiden Films dazzles with fluid choreography, art direction blending opulent pinks and golds with stark shadows, where lighting fractures like shattered glass to symbolize fractured facades. Not mere opulence, but a visual metaphor for concealed ferocity. Stillness in accusations yields to whirlwind movement in clashes, shaping visceral empowerment. Direction employs dynamic angles, low shots amplifying Scarlett's dominance like a gladiator in the Colosseum, with compositions framing foes in disarray, editing rhythms pulsing to heighten chaos. The soundtrack haunts as a vengeful symphony, motifs of swelling strings elevating pleas, crescendos searing impacts into memory, silences post-strike roaring louder than crowds. Voice acting shines. Miyu Tomita's Scarlett delivers with silken tremor, embodying a soul's elegant storm. Taito Ban's Call infuses arrogant intensity, his timbre a grating velvet that pierces. This episode stirred a thrilling blend of vindication and exhilaration, sparking wonder at rebellion's spark while leaving scars of injustice's chill, like witnessing the storming of the Bastille from within. Moments of defiance etching deep. The pivotal eruption unfolds as destinies collide, a breaking point where poise fractures into power, shifting hierarchies irrevocably, reminiscent of the mirror scene in The Matrix awakening latent might. It connects to eternal echoes. How do we reclaim agency from betrayal's chains, like vines over forgotten ruins? I felt the ballroom's stifling warmth on my skin, the echo of a resounding impact in my ears, carrying Scarlett's burdens as my own. Reader, haven't you tasted suppression's bile, scars of unspoken reprisals craving eruption? Using reverse reading, potential flaws like abrupt violence, mirroring fan concerns over repetitiveness in beatdowns, reframe as deliberate stylistic bursts, emphasizing thematic catharsis akin to the novel's punchline-driven humor. Pacing's frenzy might opaque character backstories, but it serves immersive immediacy. Complexity in Blessings confuses briefly, yet invites source exploration. I didn't like occasional static frames in dialogue, but they underscore tension's build. Balanced, the episode's energy prevails over minor opacities, delivering a punchy debut. Episode 1 triumphs in thematic audacity, character vibrancy, and artistic flair, though repetitive motifs temper longevity, succeeding as a captivating opener, blending romance with revenge in narrative elegance. I anticipate its vendettas unfolding like petals in a thorny rose. But as echoes of a final plea fade into twilight's hush, can you resist Scarlett's gaze, feeling the pull of your own suppressed storms? Watching isn't optional. It's the inevitable unleashing of your veiled fury, where one request beckons your awakening. What if the cage of propriety that confines you cracks open not with a key, but with a clenched fist, mirroring the defiant roar of Joan of Arc storming the battlements, or the quiet fury of a suffragette shattering windows in the fight for voice, where the air thickens with the metallic scent of rebellion and the sting of sweat on bruised knuckles? In episode 2 of May I Ask for One Final Thing, released on October 3, 2025, as part of the double premiere launch, we awaken in the shadowed aftermath of Scarlett's ballroom upheaval, a mere echo after the premiere's shattering of betrothal bonds. Imagine the cool silk of bedsheets clinging to your fevered skin, the distant murmur of palace intrigue seeping through stone walls like whispers from Versailles hidden corridors, as Scarlett stirs from her enforced slumber, not defeated, but ignited, like a phoenix tasting the ash of its own pyre. This installment teases layers of conspiracy beneath the glitter, leaving you suspended in the dim glow of dawn. What secrets lurk in the smiles of allies, and how might one woman's unyielding grip reshape the throne's fragile balance? You're there, feeling the pulse of hidden daggers in the air, the faint echo of footsteps approaching. Yet the full reckoning? It coils like a serpent, drawing you inexorably to the screen, to claim the truths that simmer just out of reach, emerging from the premiere's visceral outburst, where Scarlett, jilted by Prince Kyle in favor of the saintly Terranetza, unleashes her one final request in a whirlwind of righteous fury. This episode navigates the turbulent wake, akin to the tense reprieve after Spartacus's uprising, where chains are shed but shadows of retribution loom. Scarlett rouses in confinement, her path intersecting with familial schemes and covert betrayals, much like a detective in The Godfather piecing together a family's underbelly. Alliances form in hushed chambers, revelations peel back noble facades, and a royal audience unfolds with the gravity of a trial at Nuremberg, where justice hangs by a thread. The narrative builds to a strategic pivot, suspending you in that charged silence before the gavel falls. Recall the anticipation in Gladiator S. Arena Gates creaking creaking open. But what machinations propel her from pariah to pivotal force, and why does the crown's gaze shift from condemnation to cunning approval? The enigma thickens, pulling you into the opulent halls where velvet curtains hide sharpened blades, igniting a hunger to pierce the veil, to stand beside her and unravel the web that words alone cannot ensnare. The plot unfurls with deliberate escalation, advancing the revenge fantasy from personal catharsis to systemic upheaval, much like Elizabeth Bennet evolving from witty retorts to societal critique in Pride and Prejudice. Key revelations expose entangled webs of corruption, noble involvement in illicit trades, twisting the narrative toward broader intrigue, while a cliffhanger alliance hints at impending clashes. Pacing strikes a harmonious balance, blending reflective recovery with accelerating confrontations. No frantic rushes, but a rhythmic build akin to a symphony's second movement. Dramatic poise maintains equilibrium, introspective monologues countering action's pulse, though the episode's resolution-focused drive echoes the concise verdicts of ancient Greek dramas. Tackling fan-bewildered, cloudy aspects. Why Scarlett's impunity? How does her outburst yield rewards rather than ruin? The manga, chapters 2 to 3, aligning with this arc elucidates. Her ducal lineage, steeped in military prowess, grants her leeway, her mad dog combat skills honed in secret training grounds, not mere brute force but a calculated inheritance from a family of warriors. The light novel, Volume 1, deepens this, revealing the king's opportunistic use of her exposed to purge rivals, clarifying Terranetz's saintly aura as a manipulated facade masking darker ambitions. Context that transforms animated ambiguity into layered strategy, with foreshadowed saintess prophecies complicating future arcs. Characters throb with psychological richness, their scars as vivid as those of Medea, betrayed yet vengeful. Scarlett deepens beyond the premier's firebrand, her motivations a tapestry of suppressed rage and familial duty, choices surprising in their restraint, transformative as she pivots from isolation to guarded trust, consistent with a psyche forged in noble neglect. Julius, the sly brother, reveals witty guile masking protective wounds. Leonardo, the steadfast sibling, embodies unyielding loyalty. The king emerges as a pragmatic schemer, his dialogue a surprising blend of paternalism and calculation. Terranetz's facade cracks subtly, hinting at envious depths, her growth a slow poison. Prince Kyle's petulance surprises in its pathetic fragility, revealing a puppet's strings, each arc a step toward empowerment, like rebels in Les Miserables finding solidarity in strife. Thematically, the episode delves into power's duality, not as inherited scepter but forged fist, manifesting in Scarlett's choice to wield violence for justice, echoing questions of morality in survival. Does retribution heal or corrupt? As in the despair of Orwell's oppressed rising against hope's flicker, sacrifice surfaces in familial bonds strained by scandal, hope clashing with despair in the face of systemic rot. World-building expands elegantly, introducing palatial hierarchies and saintess lore, rules of divine selection that complicate politics, enriching the universe like intrigue in Dunas noble houses, where prophecies become weapons, dialogue gleams with sharp wit, poetic in its barbs yet occasionally dipping into archetypal cliché. Lines on Su near Nosrami Ichijinyohu, a lady's refinement, resonate like Elizabeth I's defiant speeches, foreshadowing escalations and lingering as echoes of empowerment. In shadowed bedrooms, words carry the musty tang of intrigue, immersing you. Feel the chill of a maid's treacherous whisper brushing your ear. Hear the king's measured decree rumbling like thunder in a courtroom. What retort would you hurl in Scarlett's stead, facing the mirror of your own silenced fury? This verbal sparring heightens suspense, each exchange a hook, stoking curiosity. Will these declarations topple thrones or merely stir the pot, compelling you to dive deeper and seize the unfolding drama? Animation captivates with fluid grace, art direction harnessing pastel opulence, soft lavenders and piercing crimsons, to symbolize fractured elegance, much like the vibrant contrasts in The Great Gatsby underscoring hidden decay. Symbolism pulses, shadows engulf betrayals, stillness in awakening scenes contrasts explosive movements in confrontations, where beauty signifies resilience's raw edge, not mere adornment but the allure of unbroken spirit. Direction employs intimate close-ups during revelations to amplify vulnerability, shot compositions framing isolated figures against grandiose backdrops, editing rhythms syncing with heartbeat tension, slow fades for introspection, quick cuts mirroring emotional whiplash. The soundtrack emerges as a spectral ally, its motifs, delicate harps ascending to forceful drums, haunting recoveries and elevating triumphs, etching into memory like Ennio Morricone's Western swells. Crescendos punctuate alliances, while silence bellows in moments of realization, louder than any fanfare, underscoring isolation's void. Voice acting incarnates essences. Asami Sito's Scarlett infuses timbre with fiery tremor, her intensity embodying a soul ablaze with defiance. nuance. Supporting V's like those for Julius deliver sly inflections, their deliveries weaving you into the tapestry as if the barbs sting your own skin. Emotionally, this episode imprints the exhilarating scar of vindication, sparks of wonder at unbridled agency. Envision the rush in your blood as veils lift, akin to the triumph in Kill Bill's revenge arcs, or the awe of an underdog's stand in history's uprisings. Pivotal unmaskings collide like fates in an Oedipal tragedy, a fracture where perceptions shatter and trajectories realign irrevocably, prompting, what cages do we endure, and what fury must we unleash to reclaim our narrative? I felt a visceral surge of empowerment, a lingering pang for the unsung battles, echoes that haunt like unresolved symphonies. Yet, reversing the perspective, apparent flaws unveil purpose. The brisk pacing, sometimes deemed abrupt, echoes thematic urgency, a stylistic nod to life's sudden reckonings, like flashpoints in revolutions. Complexity in alliances may opacity for casual viewers, but reframes as intentional depth, inviting rewatch. Occasional trope reliance tempers originality, though balanced by the episode's emotional authenticity and visual flair. Ultimately, Episode 2 shines in character nuance and thematic bite, its minor expository lulls eclipsed by compelling momentum, succeeding masterfully in escalating the villainous saga toward cathartic horizons. But what if your own veiled fury awaits release? Reader, as Scarlet's path veers toward shadowed frontiers, the mastermind's grin fading like a ghost in the dawn, you're not just beckoned, you're ensnared, for in her next strike lies the mirror to your unspoken rebellion. Have you ever juggled the fragile masks of your existence, where love and duty collide like Cold War spies whispering secrets across iron curtains, or a family photo hiding the fractures of unspoken sacrifices, much like the Kennedys' polished facade amid personal turmoil? Spy Time's Family Season 3 Episode 1 plunges into that delicate dance of identity and deception, where the scent of cotton candy mingles with the acrid tang of impending chaos, the distant rumble of machinery echoing like thunder over a Berlin Wall of illusions, and the warmth of a child's hand tugs at the threads of fabricated bonds. Released on October 4, 2025, this opener picks up after Season 2's high seas escapades, easing back into the Forger's precarious domesticity, while hinting at brewing geopolitical storms. I personally was struck by its blend of whimsy and tension, a narrative that doesn't unveil all but leaves you tasting the bittersweet edge of hidden truths, heart-quickening as if you're strolling that sun-dappled park yourself, ears pricked for the first crack in the facade. But what if one vision could unravel it all? Don't you ache to discover how fragile peace shatters under the weight of affection? In this season premiere, the Forger family, Lloyd the spy, you the assassin, telepathic daughter Anya, and precognitive dog Bond, embark on a seemingly idyllic park outing, only for Bond's foresight to spark a chain of events reminiscent of a Keystone Cops chase through a bustling fairground, blending humor with high-stakes intervention. Transitioning from Season 2's cruise arc resolution, where familial ties strengthened amid espionage trials, this episode shifts focus to everyday perils and introduces a side mission involving wise agent Fiona Frost, Nightfall, and informant Frankie, their undercover antics evoking the shadowy dealings of the Third Man's post-war Vienna intrigue. Picture yourself amid the crowd, the sticky sweetness of treats on your fingers, laughter turning to gasps as machinery looms like a mechanical beast from a Fritz Lang film. Yet the real suspense lies in unspoken alliances and diplomatic ripples. What hidden motives drive these shadows? The episode dangles that enigma, pulse thrumming, beckoning you to witness if forged families can weather the storm of secrets. Episode 1 deftly advances the overarching narrative of Operation Strix by interweaving domestic comedy with espionage undercurrents, highlighting revelations around Bond's visions and Fiona's mission, which culminate in a tense chase without full resolution, leaving a cliffhanger on diplomatic fallout akin to unresolved Cold War skirmishes. Key twists emerge in the misinterpretation of precognition and strategic betrayals, propelling character arcs forward while maintaining the series' blend of slice-of-life and thriller elements. Pacing strikes a balanced rhythm, brisk in action sequences, leisurely in family moments, ensuring dramatic equilibrium that feels organic rather than forced. Fans often grapple with cloudy aspects like the strawberry export crisis's origins and Fiona's tip-off to the SSS. Why escalate tensions deliberately? Drawing from the manga, this ambiguity stems from Extra Mission 4, aligned with the anime's adaptation, where the crisis is rooted in Ostania's economic sabotage by Minister Sergei Ostysky to strain West-Dallas relations, a subtle nod to real historical trade embargoes. Fiona's manipulation, tipping the SSS to eliminate competition, highlights her ruthless efficiency, providing context that her actions serve Wise's greater peace efforts, though risking exposure. This enriches the animated segment, transforming apparent recklessness into calculated strategy, much like Le Carre spies navigating moral gray zones. Lloyd's psychological depth depth shines through his hidden wounds of isolation, motivating a facade of paternal perfection that surprises in moments of genuine vulnerability, his choices consistent yet transformative as he adapts to family chaos. His motivations blend maternal ferocity with assassin's grace, her growth evident in protective instincts that echo hidden strengths. Anya's childlike wonder masks deeper empathy, her dialogue surprising